Can I just get the agreement of the committee to?
Yeah. So, well,
Okay.
pardon me. Of the committee, no. There
whatever
was
the process
there
is.
was Ms. Chupe. You had suggested you could provide the committee with something. I just want to make sure our analyst.
No, I didn't, like I said,
or-
this doesn't fall under my purview, but
Okay.
definitely if there's an ask from the committee, I mean, we'll have to figure out, departments will be on the hook to give the information
Okay.
to someone, so we could give it to the committee, or we'll give it to we'll have to figure that out, obviously.
Okay. Well, Ms. Jennings, your time is up.
Point of order.
Yes, Ms. Shanna, I was moving on, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, just on that issue, is that not something that we can discuss, that we should discuss as a committee when we're ordering that kind of production of documents?
So this is certainly something the committee can come back to. I just wanted to make sure for our analysts up here that if there was a request for documents and an agreement to provide them, that it was captured. I didn't quite capture. That's why I sought clarification. Ms. Jennings, your
Just
time.
a point of order in that. I just like to clarify then from you, Chair, or the analysts. I've requested some documents. I don't think it's that complicated. Is the witness going to provide those documents? Is he expected to provide those? We just want all the contractors who are government employees. Those that
is
double
fine.
dipping in this way.
The official opposition has other rounds to probe and press specifics for documents. If witnesses are able to provide them, they will state so. If they will attempt to do so, they note so. And then this committee can then take a step further if we feel a response is not adequate or information is not forthcoming. So you were close, Mr. Genuis. I didn't quite
Chair,
hear
did he undertake to provide the documents?
Pardon me?
Did he undertake to provide the documents? Like, are we
No,
getting those documents?
at this point, no. But you're welcome to ask him again. So I'm going to move on now to.
So does the committee agree to order the documents?
No, Mr. Genuis, we're not at this point yet. You're jumping a few steps. This committee does operate well with witnesses, where they provide information when explicitly asked in their field. That was not done specifically in this case. You're welcome to come back to this at your turn. So I'm going to turn now to Ms. Khalid. There's ample time, Mr. Genuis, to come back to this. Ms. Khalid, you have the floor for 5 minutes. I will say, before you begin, the reason why I seek clarification is sometimes members kind of let it slide very quickly. I like to have an explicit response from the witnesses so it is clear all around, so we avoid confusion later. That is it. So members are certainly entitled to ask for information if they find that that response is lacking, either because information is not available or witnesses do not know. That is their purview. I want to seek clarification from both sides that is understood. Ms. Khalid, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. And just at the offset, I'll just like to thank you for clarifying that. I really appreciate that we have a clear process with how we operate within this committee. I know that there are a lot of visiting members from the Conservative benches, but Chair, I really appreciate your consistency in how you do things. So to our witnesses, I believe it was a member from the TBS Secretariat that had said that deputy ministers can't lay eyes on every single contract that go through the department. So in this instance, and I know that a lot of us are very, very concerned about how it was that $50+ million were spent on an app, and then ultimately, since 2011, $100 million were given to this organization. So where is the ultimate accountability on this? Is there somebody to blame? And who is it? And how do we get there? To the TBS.
Yeah, sorry. So when we say there's 118 contracts, doesn't mean all the contracts were not done in a fair and transparent fashion, and that the work was not performed. And GC Strategies, we have there, we had an audit on those contracts, and we know what the outcomes were. So I'm not going to conclude without a more, how should I say, a wider review of all of these contracts. There's been no audit at this point on all of those contracts themselves, that every contract has been done in outside of the rules because it was GC Strategies. So I don't have that information right now. So again, I come back to the fact that when contracts are issued inside an organization within the authorities of a given organization, they need to follow the rules. And the basis and the foundation of our policies is that these contracts are fair, open, and transparent. There's competitiveness, and there's value for money. That's the basis of the policy. So again, it should be, and there's hundreds of thousands of contracts out there. So I would say that there's quite a bit of contracts that are done within the set of rules that should be applied.
I appreciate that. And, this is something that we hear from bureaucrats and public service on a regular basis, some members, to say, politicians come and go, but the bureaucracy stays, and they stay for a very, very long time. And that's why I think it is so important for us to have accountability and oversight over how the bureaucracy and the public service operate. And that's not to say that we don't respect the work that they do, because they serve the public in a lot of different ways. But I don't want a couple of bad actors to really ruin the reputation of all of the hard work that our public service does. So what do you recommend in terms of what are next steps for making sure that accountability is there and making sure that taxpayer dollars over what is a span of over a decade are not misused, or whether they're misused or not? How do we have that transparency and make sure that Canadians have the trust within our public systems?
Yeah. So first of all, your point, you made a point on the bureaucracy, and I have to say that there are I've heard there's a lot of procurement officers today that are not liking what they've seen, because they take very, very high pride in how they do their work, and they do it extremely well, and they do it within the rules. So again, they don't like to see something that will come and ruin a reputation that they've worked so hard to build on. I always say, when I got audited in my life, unless there was something huge and collusion or whatever it is, weaknesses will be found. And I always told, when I was in different departments with Board of Management, don't give me too much crap about what is being found. Give me crap if I don't fix it. So the next steps in here is the importance is that we take this very seriously. We make sure, every organization makes sure that they understand their weaknesses, that they take the validation and certification and testing of the controls very seriously. And when we find some weaknesses, that we correct them and that we learn from the lessons of others. Because I always say, if they found something over there, chances are you could find something very similar. So take these findings extremely seriously. So again, the job of the bureaucracy is to make sure that we have action plans that will be delivered, make sure that we monitor the implementation of these plans, and they actually produce the results that they're intended to do. So again, we have departmental audit committees with external members, objective external members in every large department. They will be seized with the action plans here at CBSA, and one of their jobs is to ensure that these actions get implemented as intended.
Thank you very much.
Was that my entirety?
Yes, it was, and
oh, no.
and some good time over that. Beginning our third round, Mr. Barrett, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Mr. Ruppe, the Treasury Board should know how many government employees are also double dipping with federal government contracts. So how many employees meet that criteria?
All right. Sorry, sir. You mean within Treasury Board, or you mean
that work for the government?
Government-wide? I don't have that information right now. I don't know.
Will you provide that to the committee?
I could see what's in the art of the possible. Like I say, I'd have to talk to my colleague, who's the Chief Human Risk Officer for the Government of Canada. We're digging our own information, obviously, so we would have to see what.
So you'll undertake to provide that information?
I'll undertake to see what's in the art of the possible there and get back to the committee with the possibilities of what we could report.
So instead of getting back to us with the possibilities, can you get back to us with what you find?
I could definitely try to do that, yeah.
So that's a yes?
We will get back to the committee with what
Sir,
we
it's a
actually
very
find.
simple question.
Yeah,
Will you
we will come
provide us?
back with what we find.
You'll come back with what you find.
Fine.
Yes,
Okay.
I understood that as a yes. So thank you very much.
Okay,
Yes,
so
Mr.
that's an
Barrett.
undertaking to provide the information that was requested. Okay.
Correct.
We find.
Yes.
If we find we have issues doing it, that's what we found, we will let the committee know.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, that's what that's
no.
all I could.
What you've just said is that you're going to provide us with the information. You're not going to provide us with information about the information you can provide us. So you said before to Mr. Genuis that you were being forthcoming.
Yeah.
The only thing that's been forthcoming is each time we ask the same question multiple times, we get more information each time that we ask it. So you're either being transparent or you're not. You've made an undertaking to the committee that has been well received by the chair that you will provide the information. So that's not a question I'm looking for a response. That is a statement of fact.
I'm trying to be honest here.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to be honest with you that the assurance that you're giving is that you are not being forthcoming. You came to the committee today. You knew that this was an issue, that we have government employees who are double dipping, getting contracts from from the government. This is absolutely unacceptable. It strains the bounds of public confidence when the government says, "Yep, we hired many orders of magnitude more public servants than we've ever had, but we don't have the capabilities to do the work that we need to do. So we're going to outsource that work, and we're going to outsource it to the tune of millions of dollars to people who already work for the federal government." That's why you're going to provide
We will
the
come back
information.
with what we find.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hogan, did it raise any red flags during your investigation that Mr. Yeo of Dalian was a government employee? Is that something that was detected by your office?
So no, because the Department of National Defense was not part of the ArriveCan app. But I guess what I could link to our findings is that as we talked about when it comes to disclosure around invitations and gifts, there are rules here around disclosures when a public servant might enter into an arrangement that has other employment income coming their way. And this is a place where disclosure is essential so that a supervisor can assess if the demand might be incompatible with a public servant's job, whether that it may have an impact on their ability to carry out their duties in an objective and fair manner. So what I can tell you is I know that it happens in the government. The disclosure is maybe not always happening. And when the disclosure happens, you can take the measures that you need. I can tell you that it's happened in my organization in the past where disclosure happened and we were fine with it.
Okay.
But there's been recent incidents where disclosure did not happen and we had to
Right.
take action. So this is happening. I'm just not sure the Comptroller General will actually be able to come with a big comprehensive list because it starts with awareness of the public service, disclosure
Yep.
to supervisors, and then action and documentation being taken.
Yeah, for sure. Who is responsible for hiring Mindone as CTO, the Chief Technology Officer for Canada? Who would be responsible for that?
I'll take that question, given that I'm the CIO. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. I would assume the person responsible would have been the CIO.
Okay, and would you know? So who was that?
At the time, it would have been Catherine Lello.
Okay, and would you know if there was a recommendation for Mr. Doan to that position?
Unfortunately, no, I wouldn't know that answer.
Is his involvement in a Rive scam, was it known to the Treasury Board Secretariat at the time?
At the time that he was hired? Would
yes.
At the time that he was hired, would the Secretary have known? They would have known that he would have been the Chief Information Officer, I believe, of CBSA. So I would have to say that the answer would be yes.
And that is your time, Mr. Barrett. Turning now to Ms. Bradford, you have the floor for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, back to our Treasury Board officials. These are just some kind of random kind of cleanup questions. Why did it take TBS, why didn't TBS take over the management of ArriveCan development once the cost has increased so substantially?
Throughout the venture and the project, it always remained within the set delegated authorities of the department. So there was no reason for us to step in. And honestly, the development of such an app lies with the expertise of the departments themselves. So there was no reason at that time for TBS to step in and take ownership. We don't deliver projects